I think that's working. I think we're all live and ready. That's great. Hello, everybody. I'm Nathan Wrigley. Every week we do this wpbuilds.com kind of weekly WordPress news thing. It's become a bit of a chat session of late because of the the COVID-19 thing. So we'll probably end up talking about that for quite a long time and the way it's affected everything. Hopefully that's something you can't cope with. But anyway, here we are. I'm joined today by 3 guests. I've got Vito Peleg over there. I've got Paul Lacey over there, and I've got no, I failed. Oh, it's so long since I failed. I feel so bad. And I've got Barbara Saul down there, and we'll go around one at a time, introduce ourselves quickly, and say who we are and whatnot. So let's go around the way I just said. Let's start with you, Vito. Hi, Vito.
Hi, good to be here. I'm Vito. I'm the founder of WP Feedback. We help WordPress professionals, freelancers, and agencies collaborate with their customers and among themselves.
Very nice. Leo Mindell says, hello, lovely people. Hi, Leo. We did try your suggestion, by the way, and do the schedule. So that was good advice. Thank you. It seemed to work. And you were right. 10 minutes is what you've got, Leo. Right, Paul, how are you doing?
Hey, I'm Paul Lacey from the Dickeybird Studio. And Dickeybird Studio is a little WordPress agency in the UK. And we're probably Vito's perfect customer avatar because we are a small agency that communicates with our clients, and we're always trying to improve that process. And we happen to be a customer of WP Feedback as well, an early adopter, in fact. Nice. Vito, have you got a new pair of glasses?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, they look nice. I noticed you look different today, and
a little less bulky.
Your rockstar background as well. So.
Yeah, look at him with his big amplifiers. Yeah. That's so
and
good.
The the ironing board right here.
Oh yeah, that's really rock and roll.
Yeah. Life is changing. We're all adapting, aren't we? And Barbara Saul. Hello, Barbara. Tell us about yourself.
Hello. I'm Barbara Saul, also a very recent customer of WP Feedback, having signed up just last week because I had to, was it the week before, quickly get a butcher online. So we haven't used it yet, but anyway, I thought I'd sign up.
That's awesome. Welcome on board.
You've got a direct line right to the perfect support agent.
Oh yeah,
it's great.
I've got to use it yet, but they're so busy that getting butchery things out to the customers.
Yeah, let's have a chat about that in a minute, especially like things that have changed over the last couple of weeks. But first of all, just a couple of quick comments because there's a few people dropping them in, which is nice. Good morning in the US. Let's make it a good day. Yes, we're in the UK. We're at 2 p.m. in the afternoon, so we've kind of like winding down our day. But yeah, hello there, Beth. She also comments and says you've got nice glasses, Vito. That's nice.
Oh,
and then Marcus. Marcus. Hey guys, hi there, Marcus. I'm glad you've joined us. I would say I'll probably just quickly do what I usually do because I suppose it matters. We're doing the WordPress news for the week. That's completely wrong. It's not the 16th of March. I've completely failed. But basically, subtract 7 days from today. So that's like the 30th of March or something. That's what it is. Failure there. And also, if you want to post comments like you've seen Beth and Marcus and Leo doing, there's 2 places to go. You have to go to wpbuilds.com/live. And if you go there, you have to use YouTube. So you have to be logged into Google because it's Google's comments, YouTube comments over there. But if you go to wpbuilds.com/Facebook and you are a member of our Facebook group, then you can comment there and they'll appear in this little bit of software that we're using called StreamGuard. By the way, if you are for any reason wishing to get yourself on like live streaming solutions, I can highly recommend this one. It's called StreamYard.com, and if you just go to StreamYard.com, you can sign up. It's not this. I think there's a free tier which is fairly hobbled. You have to pay to make it worthwhile, really. But if you are looking for a solution, this is fabulous. It's really, really good, and it's browser based. It took about 5 minutes to learn, and I think it's fair to say, guys and gals, it's dead easy, isn't it? You just go to a URL and share your screen. Yeah, it's really good. And I know there's tons of people trying to get all sorts of stuff. Speaking of all sorts of stuff, has anybody tried to buy anything online recently in the technology space? Like, for example, I went for a search for a webcam because my wife and I are now kind of bickering over this one. It's the only half decent one that we've got, and obviously I use it periodically like this. And she's now taken her business onto live streaming, Zoom and so on. So she wants it and I want it. So I thought to myself, I'll go and get a webcam. Go and get another webcam. No.
Yeah,
just use the one you have in your laptop. It's perfectly fine.
Oh, well, yeah, okay.
Is it not?
No, I like it to be really good. Sorry. And the one in my laptop is not very good. It's really not. No, it's not. The one in my laptop's rubbish. If you saw a contrast between this one and that one, you'd definitely spot the difference. And anyway, so I thought I'd get another one, but it's all gone. And the same with like the whole online shopping experience here. If you want to get groceries delivered and things like that, that's proving to be quite difficult.
That's gone.
Yeah. So let's just talk about how we've adapted. I'll just begin for the sake of it. I've lost quite a few care plans over the last week or so. Quite a few people just phoned in. A few communicated with me and said, we're going to put this on pause. And then I had a few which just totally stopped paying. And I emailed them to make sure everything was all right and to suggest some alternatives, ways of keeping them on board and radio silence. But in some cases, when I looked at the business that they were running, I thought, that makes sense. As an example, one of the ones that just went dead silent was an estate agent. And I imagine if you're an estate agent at the moment, you've really got no business flowing whatsoever. So anybody just want to chip in there? What's changed for them? How has their business adapted? I can see, obviously, Vito, you've changed location. Have you been to the office?
Yeah. I've been on Friday. So last week was about moving over to here. We put the entire offices in storage to save the cost for the next few months. And and I'm working from home. Around this, that kind of adapted to this pretty quickly. Only that I'm working a lot more because it's right in the house, So I just go into this room on my way to the bedroom and end up staying here for 3 hours every time. Other than that, I had the same experience with some of the care plans that we still have as well on our agency side. Some event related business. There was one customer that has not only an event related business, but it's like an abroad kind of stag do, hen do kind of thing. No one is going to Spain for for a hen do at the moment. So that kind of stopped there. Another one, just a few of them, but the majority are actually coming back with more requests because of the situation, more ideas of stuff that they want to do. They need to transfer stuff online. So there's been, on the agency side, there's been a few that were going down, but some were requesting more additional help. With the product side, we saw, I hear from our agencies, because we have more than 1,000 agencies that are working with us, and I can see that it's affecting a lot of them. Not so. What I see is that this is a great time for projects and a really bad time for care plans. So maybe a nice activity that people can do is maybe even scrap the care plans for a month or so, but after reaching out to some of the customers that you can offer some additional help at these times and offer services that will recoup that cost while creating goodwill with your customers. You can use this opportunity to actually leverage relationships for years to come, because this too will end.
Yeah, nice. Thank you. That's good, and glad to see that you're coping with your new office situation. That's nice. All gone, all into the house. I've always been in the house, so there's not a lot of change for me. Actually, on that point, it was fairly easy transition for me, because I just am where I always was. But I think lots of people who really struggled through this time, and I've helped quite a few people get online with things like Zoom and what have you. Anyway, sorry, Paul. Anything new and unique this week?
We haven't lost any care plans in people actually cancelling them themselves, but we've given a few of the clients some payment holidays on them. Just they didn't even ask. A few of them are just felt, that they're going to be struggling, and that's gone down very well. They've really appreciated that, and it does seem that some of them are actually thinking about using the time proactively, which I was quite surprised about. I didn't really think, but I guess my agency is much like a lot of agencies in that we're not directly affected because we're not in a particularly affected niche,
Mm.
but everyone's getting the trickle down effect. So we have had some projects paused, but then we've also won a few projects, and we won a really big project last week, which probably would have gone to a much more expensive agency than us. And it's a big name client. We did some design work for it and everything, and found out that we won it on Friday. It's not a massive budget, but it's a really good client for us to get in with, and they're moving forward. And we've got a bunch of other quotes to do. So I can see some niches, like one of the agencies that we white label for is really having a tough time, both financially and trying to make themselves relevant for the next couple of months with their particular client niche. And it's a particular niche that you would imagine would be really suffering in this time. So they were immediately having to work really hard, and just to try and make their clients see them as still valuable and pay those monthly retainers for the marketing that they do. So that particular agency was one of the actual agencies that I put some of their payments on hold just for a month, just to take one thing off their mind, because I did notice that some of their payments failed. But I think that they're starting to, like, even their companies, rather than just sitting there and going, oh, we're screwed, there's nothing we can do, even their companies are probably do seem to be, after an initial week or two of shock, starting to think about the future in a different way. So I think that that's probably happening everywhere. Some people are just going to roll over and give up. But if you are not going to roll over and give up, then even if you're in the worst niche possible, you're probably thinking about survival moving forward. On the buying front, I struggled to buy a new chair, which has come now, and a new table, which was difficult. So I was very limited on what I could choose color-wise, all that sort of stuff. I just had to get what I needed, so I could set up an office here in my daughter's room at the top of the house. And then one thing that we have cancelled, we haven't cancelled our office, but we have cancelled the London room that we rent for Peter, my business partner, who stays in a London room when he's doing the contracting work for Nissan that we do. That contract seems safe as far as we can tell. It probably makes up about 40% of our income. And that contract is all about the UX kind of stuff that helps Nissan sell more cars in a more competitive world. So it feels like that project is more relevant than ever. And we're just a tiny cog in that massive project. But the work that we're doing is, we can see it's sort of, if they cancelled that work, they would be in a worse position after this. So we think and hope that contract is fine, and Peter is super busy. A lot of people left all sorts of contracting jobs everywhere because of a particular thing in the UK called IR35. We didn't leave it because we were able to set up our company in a different way with how our shares work and our dividends. And at the end of the day, what that means is that a whole bunch of contractors have left IT jobs and design jobs everywhere in the UK. And we didn't, so Peter has a lot more work as a result of it. So long story that, sorry, but that's
no.
That's
that
the main
was really
thing
nice.
that come to mind when I think about what's changed in the last couple of weeks.
I'll hand over to Barbara in a second, but it kind of feels like you were mentioning how everything seems a bit more normal now. I certainly get that impression just in life. Everything just seems like this is how it is for a bit, and there was that real panic for a while, and whilst we're not out of the woods, it does feel a lot calmer. Just things like me looking at the shops nearby and things like that. It does. People have figured out how to do it in a much more mature and safe way now, and the shelves are not empty. We're just all coping a bit better. Anyway, with that in mind, it was interesting, Barbara, you mentioned about a butcher's shop. I wanted to pick up on that. Does that mean that a few businesses that you deal with who had no online presence are sort of scrambling to quickly throw something together?
Well, the guy, they had a very basic website, but they were trying to look after their customers as best they could, and said, can you get us online so we can take payments online and everything? So very quickly set them up with WooCommerce and a few of the extensions so that we could work out delivery and all this kind of thing. Thank goodness for all those extensions, because of course I was ill while I was having to set it up. So,
right. Yeah.
But managed to do it, and he's doing really, really well. So that's good. It's pretty scrappy site, but it's working and people are buying from it. So that's the main thing.
Yeah.
So indeed, and yes, I want to look and see who else can we help without being opportunistic about it, but actually see how can they look after their customers better. I know one client is a florist, and she just shut down for a couple of weeks, but now they're starting to get flower deliveries. So they won't open the shop, but they will do flower deliveries, which of course is going to be a real boost for some people.
Yeah.
So I'll help her do whatever she's a close friend anyway, so I'll help get her sorted out. So
yeah, I think there's a lot of businesses that have discovered the internet. Like your butcher. Presumably, life was just perfectly working all right until a month ago, and then suddenly, that everything that they know about running a business was wrong, and going online is this is a great opportunistic. It was good the way you described that. We're not trying to do that, are we? I would imagine, but with a few hours on a screen, we can put their business back. Obviously, they've got to figure out their own delivery networks and stock control and all of that kind of stuff. But we've seen that a lot here. I confess I haven't really been involved in a lot of it, but a lot of the local businesses here have suddenly found ways of taking payments online, and in some cases it's been much more cottage industry. Essentially they've got a payment gateway. It looks like a Stripe page or something like that, and you're ordering over you're basically telling them what you want. There's no cart, and then you just pay them and then they deliver it and all that kind of stuff. But it's ingenious. It's really interesting what everybody's going through. I wonder how it'll all settle. But just a few quick comments, if that's all right. Just put a few of these up. Sean was saying that, because we were talking about supermarkets and things, Sean was saying that Tesco's, even, he says 3-week lead time. I haven't done any online shopping for food, so I'm not sure about that. Beth's saying that her trip to the UK has been postponed. Yeah, I wonder, was that for
ATL?
That maybe for, I was going to say for Lee's.
Live.
Yeah. Okay, that is sad, but Lee looks like he's got a handle on the online side of things, turning it into a virtual event, making the best out of a bad situation. Chris Hughes says, great time for new ecom care plans, though. I've had more inquiries of people with websites struggling to keep up with demand. Oh, that's great news. Really good, Chris. Perfect. And then Leo with his acerbic wit, having a go at where I live, the tech hub of Scarborough. Oh, love living in Scarborough at the moment. There's very few people here. It's quite nice. Congratulations, Paul, on the business win, though. He likes you. He doesn't like me. Clearly. It's very, very nice to you. And then a Facebook user. This brings something to mind. If your name appears here and it says Facebook user, we can't identify who you are because you haven't clicked the link above the video. You have to click I think it says something like StreamYard.com/something else. So yeah,
it's true. Yeah, I did get these. Actually, I did order these just the other day, so these came through. These were £10. What are they called? I don't know. What company? Beltran or something like that. I don't know. Apparently, they're some of the best budget. They don't have a microphone, so I needed something for home that plugs into this Yeti.
Yep.
So I got that, and then while I was there, I also thought I may as well get myself a PlayStation headset. So I got that as well. So yeah, it's not all bad. So I've been playing a bit of PlayStation, which I haven't done.
If you find a webcam, please buy it for me. Just buy it, and I'll pay you.
We've got one around somewhere for you, mate.
Oh no! I was joking.
You can't have
ATL plus 14 days vacation. Oh, I am sorry. Yep. Yeah, sorry about that, Beth. Anyway, the reason that we're here is to talk about WordPress, and I have got a thing. Where's it gone? There we go. Let me add that in. Right, very quickly, WP Builds podcast, wpbuilds.com looks like that. We've got a subscribe page. Please feel free to fill this stuff in. We've got a couple of forms, 2 email newsletters. This one in the grey box alerts you when we produce content like this, podcasts and so on. And this one alerts you when we find out about WordPress deals. Join the Facebook group. These ones are for getting you on your podcast player of choice and so on. And anyway, that's that. And then if you click here, News Archive, you get to find out about all the news that we've released. And of course, we always do this one, which is the top left. That's the most recent up-to-date one. And it looks like this. So I don't know if any of you guys I've sort of had a look over the show notes and put your names to anything. If not, we'll just go through one at a time and see what we can see. First bit of news, actually a big bit of news. It kind of feels so strange talking about this stuff at the present time. You know, this would have been such a significant part of my life a few weeks ago. Now somehow it seems to have less importance, shall we say. But nevertheless, here we go. WordPress 5.4 has come about. It's called Adderley. I think I've said that right. Nat Adderley. Is it Matt Mullenweg who chooses these? Because I know he's a jazz fan. Does he just get to pick what the names of these releases are?
I don't know.
Maybe.
I think it's him. I imagine it's him because he's a bit of a jazz fan.
Could have been if he was into hip hop. We could be looking at 5.4 Snoop Dogg or something.
Yeah, that'd be kind of cool.
5.0 cents.
Yeah. Anyway, it's 5.4. As you'd imagine, it's a pretty big moment. I updated by now every single website over to 5.4. The only issue that I had was the favicon on a couple of websites just reverted to the WordPress favicon, but in every case I used main WP and kind of went through that process on a few, checked everything was working, all good. Anybody else updated everything already or not updated?
The main thing I had to say about this article was that when I read this article, I felt a little bit guilty about being kind of dismissive of the permanent release candidate posts that we've covered over the last couple of weeks and months, when I saw the list of people who'd contributed to it, and felt suddenly very thankful to all of those people. There they are. Look at them all. Look at all those people. And all I did was complain. Maybe I'd like to say I kept them on their toes. Obviously listening.
Utterly amazing. Look at it. 552 volunteer contributors. There were 361 track tickets, 1,226 pull requests. This was led by Matt Mullenweg, Francesca Morano, and David Bornwald. And then these were the people. There's probably a few too many to mention, but you can see them on the screen. And they were the guys that put it together. It is kind of strange because we've been talking about this. It felt a bit weird because there's nothing new to talk about. As over the weeks we've been talking about all of the bits that are being added into 5.4, nothing is a surprise. But if you are, if you haven't been paying attention in the way that I obviously do because I produce this each week, there is quite a lot of nice stuff. And as always, Justin Tadlock in WordPress Tavern sums it up really beautifully. He talks about the leads and what have you, but we've got a few nice little editors. There's some new block editor features. There's this little social icons widget. Block. I should stop saying widget. I haven't deployed that or used it, but there it is nevertheless. Everything now goes into full screen automatically in certain situations. Again, I've kind of stopped that being the case. There's a plugin. I think Chris Hughes or somebody found a plugin which would automatically disable it, but then other people came back and said, nah, it just doesn't do it. But if you're getting annoyed by that, I think if you put the bar onto the top bar off when you're doing the editing, I think that enables it. Anyway, there was quite a few bits and pieces added, things like gradients in buttons and all of that kind of stuff. And then there's a few changes that developers need to be mindful of. There's some breaking CSS changes, so you need to be mindful if you're a theme or plugin developer that things have changed. But it worked for me. I'll hand it over to you if you've got anything to add, any of you.
There was something and it's gone.
No. Okay. Well, it is. I think it's quite interesting that.
The only thing I do remember what it was now. It wasn't so much about the release. It was just about the ability of open source software to have a bit more resilience in these situations rather than commercial companies with closed systems where you've got to rely on that they're not being hit by a global pandemic, shutting their operations down or altering all the stuff that's going on, especially when you see that big list of people that are contributing. And I'm pretty sure that 5.5 won't have hardly any change in pace based on the pandemic compared to how a commercial company might be handling their software. I don't know. It's just a thought.
Yeah, I didn't really give that any thought whatsoever, but that's a really good point. Right, okay, let's put the screen back up there if nobody else got anything to add. Anyway, hopefully go and update yourself to 5.4. There's no kind of security reason to do that as far as I'm aware. There's nothing like that, but you might as well. Everybody seems to be saying it's okay. Quite often I wait. There's a couple of sites that I leave just because I'm too nervous to put them on first. So I've got a few test sites which just lie around basically doing nothing. And I just update those first, have a poke around, see if everything's okay, then wait like a few hours, then update a few more. And then the ones that I'm really nervous about are usually wait. Why? In some cases, I'm just terrified that some of the plugins are gonna break. You know, there's just too many moving parts. And so I test it on a few different things. I know quite a lot of people who wait as much as a week.
No, that I understand. Like you wait until there is a patch or something like that, or something. But why wait between sites? 3 hours between sites?
Right. So in my case, I've got a few sites that are just my own personal sites that they're completely public facing, but there's no purpose to the websites. They don't have any interesting content. So I just update it, and it's got a ton of the typical plugins that I have installed. And then I just prod around and see if the contact forms are working and if pages load. So that's it, really. I just wait a bit, see if there's anything strange. And the release cycle for WordPress is so long and drawn out that it's so unlikely. But I don't know, I'm just a little bit cautious. Does it? Yeah, okay.
So Nathan, can I just check your official line on this? Is everyone should update, there's no problems, apart from you're not going to do that just in case there's some problems. Is that your
right?
Official?
Yeah, that's it. That's
should definitely work for the government right now.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah, don't do what I say.
Yeah.
No, it's the other way. I don't know. Do you not do that though? Do you not wait on a couple of things? Do you not give it? Are you like wake up in the morning, 7 a.m., hit the button, update them all, automate everything? Yeah.
No, not like that at all. It's a process. You go through each website and you check. Yeah. And there's some websites that are customization.
Oh, Vito just
updates.
died.
Coming back.
Oh, Vito, we lost about 5 seconds of what you were saying. Just start again. Sorry.
So I'm saying for some of the websites that are more like plugin heavy or customized or with a lot of customizations, we sometimes even like completely skip updates. You know, if we're not certain of what's going to happen, just so that we don't, because we do the rounds every month for our clients. So this way, it's not something that can break or anything like that. Also, if there is an active promotion or an active campaign that is running on this or that website, we probably might wait until that's done when we rather than doing like major updates. I mean, like, like core or WooCommerce or stuff like that.
Yeah, it's interesting because it does look like there's a variety of opinions here, because I update most of them within 24 hours. Really? But it looks like, but I do start on my own little public facing but not doing anything websites, just to have a bit of an insight. Matt thinks my strategy is cute, like a crush at a school dance. But Chris says we didn't update anything for a week, so that's interesting.
Yeah, exactly.
And Raj is saying they're holding off for 2 weeks, waiting for 5.4.1. I hear a lot of people do that. They wait for the next point release
for the patch,
right? Yeah, to see what got balked in the 5.4. Yeah, that's interesting. And then Paul's just agreeing. Yeah. Interesting.
Because Raj was asking about my headphones, and again, thank you, Raj, for recommending me these Bose Quiet Comforts. They're the best headphones I ever bought.
So,
you don't use them.
His headphones and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's why he's noticing I've got a new pair of headphones. He's probably wondering if they're really expensive ones or not. They're not.
Yeah. Okie dokie. Anyway, that was WordPress 5.4. A big deal, unless you've been listening to this for weeks and weeks, in which case you probably knew most of what was coming. Okay, let's have a look at these then. This is the community section. We've got a few bits and pieces in here. Let's do this one first, and then we'll let Vito kind of have the floor. Now, I'm using Safari, so I'm not entirely sure I'm going to get this right, because I don't normally use Safari, and the way it opens tabs is different to Chrome. But WordCamp Europe has been postponed. Yay! Obviously it got pulled relatively recently because of the problems in the whole of Europe, not just Spain, and they've given us a new date. So if you were planning to go, and I know that a lot of the people on this were planning to go, and a lot of people probably watching this as well, here's your new dates: 3rd, 4th and 5th of June 2021, same location, everything the same, just the date's different. So it's been postponed by a year. So that's really nice. Paul, Vito, Barbara, were you gonna go?
I hope they'll still respect my ticket, because I bought a ticket for this year.
Yes, I expect. I think they're probably going to I think they're refunding. In which case, you could just yeah. I think. That's
but yeah, of course, if it's happening, I'm going. It's just because of everything that's been happening. I'm probably not going to buy a ticket until like 3 months before.
Yeah. Okay. All right, let's move on then. So anyway, that was just a bit of good news. Now, this is Vito's story. It would have been Vito on whether Vito was on or not, but he is here, so he might as well talk about it. This is a new version of an event which Jan has been running, Jan Koch. He ran it under a different banner until recently, but it's an online summit, and there's a laundry list of people. I mean, really quite a large laundry list of people.
Actually, everyone on this panel.
Not me, I'm not.
Except for you, Nathan, right?
Yeah,
but
I know.
Paul and Barbara are on there.
Yay! Look at this. There's Raj. He's in the conversation. We just mentioned Lee. So tell us about it, Vito. What's happening? How do we get involved? When is it all taking place, and so on?
So at the end of this month, April 27th, we're going to run this online experience. Even we started calling this internally. That kind of tries to bring in a lot of innovations into the online summit space. So like you said, Jan ran a summit last year in November. It ended up being the biggest summit in the WordPress space with more than 2,000 attendees last time. And now that he came on board as the CTO, part of the kind of understanding from the beginning was that we're going to bring in the summit in, and we're going to do it under the WP Feedback banner inside the new network that we launched, and connect it all together because everything just aligned perfectly. A few of the cool things that we're trying to do here is, I am myself, and I think it's true about you guys as well. We're like the hallway track people. Right. So like most of our time when we're going to these camps is not necessarily inside listening to the talks. Sometimes, of course, but most of the time is spent outside in the sponsors area, talking to people, creating relationships and all these kind of stuff. That aspect is completely gone from every visual summit that is out there. It's just absent completely from every other virtual summit that is out there. Usually it's just like a series of webinars, which is awesome if that's your point, to gather information, gather knowledge. I wanted to also, now that I'm Jan is is German, so he's taking the we're gonna teach you well kind of aspect of it. But I'm taking the side of making sure the sponsors are being taken care of, making sure that networking can happen, and all of these kind of stuff. One of the coolest things that we're doing is that throughout the entire thing, there's gonna be the hallway track running, and through a Zoom call, breaking down to breakout rooms and all of these kind of stuff, so people can jump in and have this little cluster of conversation, exactly how I met Paul, that introduced me to Nathan, in London, through this little small cluster at this table. If you guys,
I remember.
Back of the room there.
Yeah, I remember it. Yeah.
So that's exactly the experience that I'm trying to create online through Zoom, along with the talks that will be happening all the way in the background. Now, one of the kind of awesome things here is that we managed to get a lot of the major companies in our space to collaborate with us on this. So they're looking at it like a WordCamp, like a big WordCamp, like Europe or US or something like that, which means that their booths are gonna be super awesome when it comes to the offerings, the communications in there. Even there, you know what? Maybe I can show you something that is like no one's seen before. I'll show you our booth.
You're gonna struggle unless you can share your screen. Yeah, you should be able to.
Can I? Let me share my screen. I'm just gonna do it for a sec.
Yeah, it's okay. Whilst you do that, I'm going to just quickly put this up for everybody's benefit because I think it's important that. Hang on, 1 second, Vito. 1 second. There it is. There it is. Just so that we know. All right. Just let's be clear. We haven't forgotten about Kinster. All right. Okay. We're back in the room. Okay. Sorry. Just had to do that. It was a few pithy comments. Carry on, Vito.
So I shared my screen, but I don't know if it's being shown. Oh, yeah. So what you guys are seeing is basically our little booth in there, and every sponsor is gonna have this kind of the same very experience, only branded for their stuff. If you want to talk to Adam from GoDaddy, if you want to talk to any of the guys from Raj from RunCloud, just click the button and it opens the Zoom call so you can actually talk to a representative and see what's going on there.
Nice.
I know that a lot of the sponsors are planning like stuff like giving away. So WPMU Dev are giving away an iPad that they engraved for WordCamp Asia. So now they have an opportunity to give it away over there. So there's got to be a lot of really awesome stuff like that. Really think the hallway track in WordCamp Europe or US or that's the experience that we're trying to bring onto here. I can show you this as well. I'm still working on this guy, but basically that's gonna be the home of where you can go to the different areas and so on.
Oh, this looks great. Yeah, it looks like you've really put an awful lot of work.
Really cool. Really cool.
Yeah, really well thought out. Okay, so the link for this, just in case this is what your appetite is, WP feed, but Safari doesn't show it, so it's WP. Well, just click on the link in the show notes. That's just going to be easier. I can't figure out how Safari works. Yeah. That looks great. Really cool. Lots and lots in store. So let's get the dates clear. April the 27th to the 21st of May. And then if you get to that page that you can see on the screen, it looks like you're going to be filling out that form. Just there, just adding your email address into that. Okay, that looks great.
Completely free for anyone to come. We're going to be serving multiple time zones. So the cycle is going to be 4 hours of talk. Then the 5th hour, we're going to be showing the networking area. For the 5th hour is like a hallway hour. And that cycle is going to repeat 4 times so that we can serve different time zones around the world. Also, 4x the exposure for Paul and Barbara here on their talks by spinning them 4 times during the day. So just come on board.
Yeah, thank you. That looks really amazing. What a lot of hard work you must have put into it. Thank you very much. This is another. It's a very sort of similar endeavor that we've seen over the last few weeks, and I did get an email actually, oddly enough, after I'd put this in the show notes. This is a really nice resource for people at the moment. This is a COVID-19 resource, if you like. This has been put together by the guys at My Web Audit. It's really not showing all that clearly. Maybe if I can increase my screen size just a little bit, we might have a bit more luck. There we go. That's showing a little bit more, isn't it? It's a bunch of resources for things that you may be suddenly thrown into that you've got no experience about. So, for example, there's resources on here. We mentioned this last week. It's things like how to persuade your clients not to cancel their care plans. There's some articles in here about remote working, applying for business loans. Basically, these guys are just trying to throw every article that they can get their hands on that's of any use during this quirky time, and then categorize it on the left-hand side. So just a nice endeavor, and I just thought that was highly worth mentioning.
This is Clifford, isn't it? From Clifford Almeida from from My Web Audit, which is a tool I really, really love. It's a super nice tool. And he's one of the speakers at Vito's event.
Yes, he's one of the speakers there. Awesome guy as well.
And I think he was also going to be coming to Agency Transformation Live in person as well. Again, so he, like Beth is saying, he won't be able to come over for that, which is a shame because a lot of people were looking forward to saying hi because they know him online and stuff like that. So me included. So,
Give it another year. Give it another year.
No, it's a really nice. It's a really nice collection of links. This because it is all stuff. It's not really selling anything. It's just help.
Oh no, definitely not. Nice. It's just trying to be helpful. Yeah, it's really good. And I just thought it was worth mentioning. And I had forgotten it was Clifford, but thank you, Paul, for bringing that to my attention. This article here is just about, let me just pop it up. Do you know, I really cannot get used to the way Safari works. If you're a Toolset user, I just thought this was worth mentioning. I got a few emails from them this week, and it's about creating dynamic testimonials in WordPress. I'll just leave that one hanging if you're a Toolset user and you're unfamiliar with how to do that.
Do you know what's really cool about that, though, Nathan? Right. I think the Toolset have really nailed Gutenberg, or the block editor, because they've combined the block editor with the Toolset backend functionality, which is kind of like pods or advanced custom fields or something like that, and then they've stuck Bootstrap into the mix, so that there's a totally standardized way of how all the different things are styled using the Bootstrap engine. And I used to be a Toolset user. I'm not so much anymore, but you know, if this is what Toolset was when I was using it, then maybe I wouldn't have switched to something else.
Yeah, they've gone all in on the block editor, which is obviously having a product which did so much, but you know, they were relying on, everybody was moving over to page builders, and so keeping those integrations up, I think, was a bit of a struggle. And so now that there's a universal page builder, for want of a better word, let's call it a page builder, the block editor, they can leverage that, and it's great. Each iteration just gets a little bit better, and there's just all these wonderful Toolset blocks. So if you download Toolset and install it, as you might imagine, I can't remember what it's called, the bit where the plus icon comes up and you click on it and you get all of the different blocks that you can. It's called something like the injector or something, isn't it? I can't remember. Anyway, they're doing a great job. And now you've got the opportunity to make testimonials just with point, click, type, save. It's really great. That's really, awesome. Really good. Yeah, really good. I just think it's maybe their moment. I think they went out of the public arena for a little bit and got overtaken by the page builders. And now, you know, maybe they're going to find a niche in amongst things which aren't necessarily so much page builder and more about custom data. Anyway, there we go.
I love Toolset. I've been using Toolset for years now. And exactly like you're saying, Nathan, recently with Elementor bringing in all kinds of functions to, like, that you can pull in dynamic content from Elementor. It kind of we put Toolset aside for a little bit. But when it comes to creating views, I don't think there is a better tool out there.
Yeah, it can certainly do a lot without you having to learn a lot, which is really great. Yeah, very cool. Thank you. Look at that as a Kinster ad. Who would have thought? Right, moving on. What's this one? Oh, this is quite cool. Another Israeli company. This is the guys from Elementor. They've, I think this is quite a nice initiative. They've got this new initiative called Elementor Experts, or it just seems to be called Experts on the website. I'm not sure quite how this is going to pan out, in that I would have imagined that most people who are Elementor users would have given themselves the expertise of building a website. But the idea is that you search for people who have an expertise, presumably, that you don't have. So that might be a graphic designer or some other, maybe it's copywriting, I'm not really sure. You can become an expert. In other words, you can join this platform and suggest your expertise. I don't know what the curation process is. I don't know how they're going to manually check that you are actually capable of what you say you're capable of. But then you find an expert, and then hopefully collaborate with them. So it's for people who have an agency, a bit like me, who are solos, I suppose, or smaller agencies who want to hook up with people who, I'm guessing, can leverage Elementor. Don't know. Interesting.
So there's a few points around. You asked about the how do they filter people. It's an offer for their pro users. So by their logic is saying that if you're buying a pro tool, then you must be a pro. So that's basically the filtering there at this stage. But I do know that they're working on some additional kind of categorization to make sure that it's very hard to say, because it's not a matter of being good at what we do, is not necessarily a matter of time, like in some other stuff. Some people can do it for 10 years and still the design looks wonky. But some people have a knack for it and figure it out after a year or so,
Yeah, it looks like you need to be signed in to become an expert, and I'm in an incognito window, if you like, so I can't really go through that process. But anyway, if you're looking for somebody and you're leveraging Elementor, this is maybe a good place to start. They're obviously taking all of those threads in their Facebook group, where people are saying, "Can anybody help me with this and that?" and just internalizing it and keeping that curated. Interestingly, Matt Davis, not a big fan of these kind of endeavors by the looks of it. I'm not a fan of self-appointed expert directories. Should be hand-picked, as it just turns into a race to the bottom. So yeah, we'll have to see how that goes, if it is in fact hand-picked. Yeah,
I agree with Matt. When I looked at this and compare it to what Genesis used to have, so Genesis, if you went to their recommended Genesis users, those people were hand-picked and had proved themselves over and over again in the community or by the hand-picked quality of work. And you could kind of genuinely find someone who you knew was a real expert there if you wanted to. So if you did, whereas this to me feels like the beginnings of a social media platform, because I was sitting here just scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, and I'm still scrolling for the last 5 minutes. So I don't think that you can really validate, like Matt said, that these people are experts. There are some of them in there, and if I was one of the best Elementor designers out there, then I'd be like, why am I so buried in basically everyone who's ever bought it from around the world? So hopefully, I'm sure they'll get that feedback, and probably there'll be some kind of other tier, like Vito was saying, where there's kind of some way of highlighting particular people's work or reputation or something like that. Otherwise, it's just like a kind of directory of people who've bought their product at the moment. Okay. So I'd want to see that improve a little bit to actually make it useful for people who are buying services. Because at the moment, I think you could quite easily say we are a validated Elementor Pro. We're listed on their website, and I think that's not quite as amazing as it should be.
Okay. Yeah.
Brilliant initiative. I just think they should improve it a little bit, because anyone can apply who's bought it, and it's good backlink as well. So you may as well get it.
Right. Okay. Let's see where this goes then, and see if it gets manually curated. And as Matt said, he doesn't want it to become a race to the bottom. Chris says, I'm not sure clients would be on here looking for professionals, would they? Most of my clients don't even know what Elementor is. Secondly, I believe it's for pro paying customers only to get listed. So that would be interesting. If I could see it being useful if I was building websites with Elementor, but I had a big part of my business where I was really not very good at, like graphic design. I can't do that to save my life. But if I could hook up with somebody who did, and I didn't have a method already worked out of doing that, could be a nice little shortcut. But we'll wait and see. Chris again says, I feel it's just a value add thing Elementor have added onto the pro for the pro subscribers. Okay, yeah. Let's see where
I think it could be better though. I think it could be turned into something genuinely useful for other agencies looking to hire people who use Elementor. But at the moment, you wouldn't know one person from another in there.
Yeah.
And I guess at the moment, it's probably going to be a thing, your usual go-to person to take care of graphic design, they're ill all of a sudden. So, you want somebody else who can use Elementor Pro that can just kind of step in. And I think that's the sense I get, that's what they're actually trying to do. And I think there's going to be this whole swathe of things whereby we kind of help each other out where we can, because we kind of have to. That's just the way things are at the moment. So that was the feeling I got from it anyway.
So it's not so much about finding work externally, right? It's not Upwork.
I don't know. No, I'm guessing not.
Feels like Behance, but with an Elementor. Something like that.
Yeah. The well, we'll see how this develops. I mean, obviously they've been at it for a little while. It doesn't seem like a quick reaction or anything. They've obviously put
it's a nice gesture to their customers.
Yeah, and they are labeling it as beta, so we'll have to see how this goes. And no doubt we'll probably at some point get somebody on the podcast to talk about it. Right, little comment from Andrew Palmer there. There will be recommendations to find a pro in the Elementor plugin in the weeks and months to come as well, I'm certain. Right. Yeah. It's a great idea, but the term expert, Matt says, is misleading. Give it another name and it's a better platform. Yeah, Okay. All right. Good feedback. No doubt we'll pass all this stuff over to them at some point. Okay, what's next? So, what is next?
Press Labs.
This one. I don't think I want to go into this one, to be honest, unless anybody's got something pressing. This was a new platform.
Mind the pun.
Yes, sorry. I didn't quite understand what the offering was here, but they claim to be the first cloud-native hosting platform for WordPress. And I couldn't quite work out why that statement.
Didn't feel like they're the first, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Definitions are always bendable.
Yeah. Well, anyway, if the words Kubernetes, Google Cloud Platform ring a bell and make you excited, go and check out this. But otherwise, maybe it's time to we'll move on. We'll move on quickly.
What did you say? Kinsta? Kinsta.com?
Yes. Well, exactly. I don't quite know what the difference is between, let's say, Kinsta, because they use the Google Cloud Platform. Weird. Anyway, here we go. This is Justin Tadlock trying to say, please, can we update our PHP versions? And again, I'm not going to get into this unless one of you has a huge growl at me for moving on.
This is in response to another proposal, though.
Yeah, it was. This is where's it gone?
There was another proposal put out there to make WordPress built on the old BBC Basic platform, and then this is an opposing view.
What?
Just messing around.
Okay.
It's kind of like, why would it be a bad thing to propose to make it more modern?
That's true. That's true.
Make something in BBC Basic.
Yeah, okay, I got you.
So you were just checking that we're paying attention, weren't you, Paul?
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't paying attention.
I was paying
Nathan
attention.
felt I was making a joke and just switched off instantly.
Did you see something in the press the other day? I think it popped into one of the Facebook groups that I'm in. The American government in this crisis time are looking for COBOL programmers, which I thought was really interesting because I haven't heard that word for a decade or more. I don't quite know what the legacy platform is that they need to update, but yeah, very, very unusual. Anyway, the point being about this article is we can't move things forward with PHP quite as rapidly as we would like to because of the backwards compatibility issues. And somebody whose name is Juliet, I'm going to say Reinders Fulmer, has proposed an extensive set of guidelines, a draft proposal for how WordPress could move on this and become a little bit more up to date. But if that rings
it's a very good idea. It is actually a very good idea, but it will obviously ruffle a lot of feathers because of custom implementations of WordPress and particular plugins. It's another thing that everyone would have to update a bunch of their themes or those kind of things to make it work. But you can't move forward sometimes without doing these things.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Okay, the next set, I'm just opening them all very quickly whilst talk amongst yourselves while I quickly open all of these. I really don't get Safari. I'm not going to do this again. Do you know the reason I had to do it is because Chrome's latest version, it keeps your bookmark bar open in incognito, so you can't shut your bookmark bar, and I didn't really want everybody seeing all the links to my school's home education websites on the bookmark bar. I didn't think that would be of any interest to anybody. But next section is plugins, themes, and blocks. Where's the first one? Here we go. This is really nice. I feel the guys at Brizzy are it's a bit of an uphill battle because of the rivals out there that are taking so much press coverage, Elementor and what have you. But if you watch this video, there's so many lovely updates in their product. The article, you can go through it, but the best way to look is to go through this video. It's about 10 minutes long. They have this chap whose name I've forgotten. I'm imagining perhaps he's Scandinavian. He's got such a lovely voice when he talks. I really like it. But they've got a whole ton of new stuff, like new areas that you can pull in, a whole bunch of new stuff, new UI, UX improvements, and what have you. And I want these guys to succeed. I know it's not for everybody, but I feel that they're working really, really hard, and it's a difficult thing. Did anybody get a chance to follow any of these updates?
I didn't, but I know there's a fair few fans out there who are keeping their eye on Brizzy all the time as the kind of underdog or the dark horse kind of thing, where they're doing all this cool stuff behind the scenes. But obviously, there's other companies that are communicating at a rate that no one else can keep up with, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I think
you're
that
right.
they've got a fantastic user interface, a very intuitive user interface.
It's really great. It's really, really nice.
Yeah.
Everything is at the mouse, well,
Yeah.
almost everything is at the point where you click it. So although this screenshot that we're looking at is showing where the little blocks that you can drag in are, if you interact with it, the mouse itself, everything is right where the mouse is. So there's less fiddling. So it was a nice UX idea, nice UI idea, but don't seem to have gained the traction. But here we are. Here's the list of new features. So they've got a new notification system for errors, new comment system. So you can literally click a button and deploy Disqus or Facebook comments instead of the WordPress comments, which is quite nice. New timeline element, so the posts will go down or horizontally. That looked really good. New audio element, so that you can basically just paste a URL and it'll create a really nice little audio player for you automatically. New switcher, star rating elements, just a ton of new elements. It's really, really nice. There was a whole bunch of other improvements. So
they're clearly working very hard behind the scenes on this.
Yeah,
pretty consistent.
They really are. They keep talking in the video. They keep talking. I think it's quite interesting. They talk about doing it the Brizzy way. And I think in that sense, they're trying to differentiate themselves. They're trying to just say, look, I know it's not the way that other people do it, but this is how we do it. And if you just stick with us and do it our way, you'll be fine. But the comparisons keep getting made with how other solutions are doing it. Anyway, there we go. Good luck to you guys. I hope that lots of people read that. This is WebArcs. They've added a feature into their security plugin for WordPress where you can automatically update. And there's something I like about this. You can automatically update things just across the board. Or there's a really nice feature which I've not seen anywhere else. And it's this one. So let's just go through it. You can automatically update everything. You can automatically update specific sites, specific components on sites. So that might be just themes or plugins, for example. But this I like. Only the vulnerable ones. And I just think that's a really good little, UVP, because they are making a big effort to know what the vulnerable ones are. And if, like me, you want to take care of updating things manually, I prefer to do it that way. But I would like somebody like WebArcs to update stuff which has got a known vulnerability and just take care of that for me. That would be, I think that's quite a useful and neat idea. What do you reckon?
I agree completely. I think this is actually a huge advance forward, because because just being on top of these things sometimes is a pain. There's a new vulnerability update every other day. I'm getting this information from Kinsta. Oh, did we say Kinsta today?
Yeah, again.
But so I'm getting an email from them because we are using their service from there. So they are also on top of it. But if you don't update it according to their email, what they do is they disable the plugin, which I think a much better approach is what Oliver is doing here, which is just, okay, that you don't want to do it yourself, we'll just update it for you to safeguard your website.
Yeah, and if I quickly just show you this, wrong one. I'm sorry, we've got to wait to the security section, but we'll come to it. WebArcs, they really are looking at the security of WordPress plugins, like all the big players, WordPress and everybody. They really are making an effort to know what's vulnerable out there. And so there's a few companies that I would trust to do this, and WebArcs is definitely one of them.
For sure.
So, I think that's a really nice addition.
And Oliver is speaking at the summit.
Yes, I saw his picture just a moment. So there you go. Another reason. Babs, Paul, anything on that?
I just think it's a good product. I use it. And I have a lot of faith in Oliver and his team. They all seem very smart people. And they write blog posts about the things that clearly their customers are interested in. And it's one of the sexiest UIs I've ever used.
Yeah, so it's really nice.
They had me at login.
Yeah, it's quite jarring when you use the WordPress plugin. You see it all, and then suddenly it's all blue. But when you look at their self-hosted version, which is probably a good way to interact with their platform,
it's very good to find in logs of what happened as well. We did have a site that had some problems some months ago, and we were able to see, login records of all this different kind of paper trail of what had been happening leading up to, if possible.
There you go. There's the logs just there. They have a nice little feature, by the way, whereby I think it's $3 or $4, maybe it's $3.50 a month per website. They will, if you subscribe with a site that is clearly not hacked. So that's a caveat. You can't bring a site for this $3.50 a month or whatever it is. It's about that. You can't bring them a hacked website. That costs more. But if you bring a clean website and you subscribe to that, then they will clean it up for you for no extra charge. In other words, it's a bit like an insurance policy. And I think that's quite a neat little offer, especially with like critical websites. But anyway,
it's not bad value at all, is it? Really, it's pretty good.
Really, if you've got a big e-commerce website, $3.50 a month or something, pretty good guarantee. BuddyPress has introduced some member blocks and group blocks. It looks like a real, I mean, I confess I don't use BuddyPress, so this is all a bit me talking off the cuff, but there they are. This is what they look like. You deploy these blocks and you get a simple interface which shows a member, and you get a simple interface which shows a group. But the idea is that over the coming year, they're going to start leveraging Gutenberg as their way of doing everything. And the guys behind the project are saying that, give us a couple of years and we'll have everything done in Gutenberg and it'll all work beautifully.
Vito, can I ask you, did you consider BuddyPress for your social network?
We started with BuddyPress, actually. We started custom, and then it was just a nightmare doing it. What we did in a month, we could have done in a day with one of these platforms. So I pivoted to BuddyPress. I've built a few BuddyPress environments in the past through the agency, and it was always like a fragmented experience. Like there's just a bunch of stuff, and you gotta add it all together, and then it all starts collapsing on itself. So BuddyBoss was actually our solution, and BuddyBoss actually did the work perfectly. And it seems like, as much as I appreciate what the guys are doing at BuddyPress, the BuddyBoss is like a fork of it, and it's being managed by by a for-profit kind of company, which I kind of prefer this approach, to be honest, when it comes to fast accelerated development, and you can see that, because they're a lot more accountable, if that makes sense, compared to some of the projects that you don't know what's going to happen with them.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was a fork, actually, BuddyBoss.
Yeah.
It's interesting to know that.
They forked it, brought in a bunch of different plugins that usually were spread out, and you had to install like 30 of them to accomplish just a basic social functionality. And they made a platform out of that. And then also you can use the BuddyBoss add-ons if you need some extended kind of functionality here and there. Even though not all of them work perfectly, most of them do.
Okay, well, that's good to know. I didn't know that either. But there you go. A fork of BuddyPress is what you're using. Okay, that's great. Okay, so that's BuddyPress, a couple of new blocks. And what do we got now? This is WPMU dev users. Their Forminator plugin now enables you to you can design forms which will allow people to register on your site and log in on your site. It's a feature which I think a lot of different form plugins have had. I would argue possibly this is the most feature-rich free contact form or form plugin, should we say. It seems like their free offer is really, really good and it has lots of free features, shall we say. So it's feature-rich. But I don't know whether these additions in Forminator 1.2 is in the free version or not. Anyway, you can now, with this article, you can go through and figure out how to get Forminator.
The world of forms, freemium model forms seems so competitive. It feels like one day we'll be watching a Netflix documentary, a bit like the Tiger King, about the various different form plugin creators and the antics they got up to try and thwart each other's businesses, maybe. It is a very close race between all of the form plugin creators these days. They're all doing very similar things to each other, and there's a lot of them. There's a lot of choice, isn't there?
Yeah, there's so. I mean, how far can you take it? Once Once you've gone and done a whole bunch of the normal stuff, the innovation must be actually quite hard, I would have thought, just about integrating with other things. Yeah, anyway, okay. Let's move on. This is a very, very... sadly, I couldn't link to anything on the homepage because David Von Gries from the Page Builder Framework under Ultimate Dashboard, he just has this nice, simple changelog. But I did want to point out that if you are using Ultimate Dashboard, which is a way of using a page builder or however you want to do it, customizing the way the WP admin looks for yourself or your users, they've added, similar to the Fulminator thing, there's now a login customizer. So you can change the way the login screen looks. You can restrict widgets to user roles or specific users. And there's a new modern WP admin layout as well. So just a little hat tip to David for keeping his plugin updated. So that's nice. Awesome. Okay, there's a bunch of... Sorry, somebody was going to say. No? Okay. I'll crack on. Few deals this week. If you click on this link, you get to our deals page, this one actually, and you can find your way around there. We have a permanent deals page with just permanent deals on it. Go and have a look. There's tons of good stuff on there. But the ones of note this week, 50% off. You've got to do this today, I think. I think this runs out at the end of the 6th of April, wherever you are. I expect it will be Pacific time, something like that. 50% off Cobalt Apps All Access and All Access Lifetime. And I know, Paul, you are a big user of...
Yeah. It's a game changer for us because Instant IDE helps you, without having to do all the stuff that I don't know how to do, create CSS SASS-based themes. So it's got a SAS preprocessor built in there. So you just set up a simple config file in there, and then you can organize all your CSS files into a SAS structure, as in SASS. And it massively helps. So our starter theme is all based on different variables now, which is
so
really,
have you transferred all your CSS to SAS?
Not all of it, but basically when we're using Beaver Builder, for instance, we're controlling almost all of the design in our layouts using the SAS variables. So we're not really using any of the design options within the page builders or the theme or anything like that. We just got a couple of files where all our variables are, and then we can do structure things in a different way after that. So
that's awesome.
Really, really massive time saver for us, especially because Adrian in our team is a much more skilled proper developer than I am. So he really appreciates the abilities that gives him.
Mm.
It's a plugin which was all of the stuff from Cobalt Apps, I feel a few years ago, was really getting a lot of attention, and it seems to get much less attention, but it's nice to hear that you're using it and managing to make it worthwhile. And as Chris correctly says, it looks like there's about 8 hours left. So this is for their all access plan or all access lifetime. I don't know what the costs are.
Hilarious comparison table for their own products. Normally you have a comparison table to compare it to your competitors' products. I don't know if it's on this page further down somewhere.
Okay.
There it is.
Oh yeah, he compares his own products. Yeah, that's great.
Him comparing his own products and the chaos of how much overlap his own products have with each other is clear to see in there. And he's like, I wouldn't be surprised if Eric, isn't it?
Eric Ham, yeah.
Eric Ham releases another product that has some crossovers with his other products as well.
Yeah.
He does tools for WordPress developers, and so if you are a WordPress developer, you would look in this table and it would make sense to you. But if you're not, you're just like, what is this? Why has this person done this?
There was somebody in our Facebook group this week who was looking to ditch Code Anywhere.
Right.
And I can't remember who it was, but they were looking for alternatives. And it strikes me. What did he in the end? Oh, was that on your advice? Did you offer that up as a?
I think so. Yeah, I did chip in on that, and I think that what he was looking for was the Code Anywhere has the ability to have one account. You log in and you can manage all of your different sites from one place, whereas.
Right.
Whereas this is something you install on the server, and I can't see that this would ever be a SaaS-based product because of the security aspects of it. I know even Code Anywhere got severely criticized by some people who apparently knew stuff, how these things kind of work.
Yeah, there were certain things which were passing on encrypted, I think, over the wire. I can't remember. I think it was the SSH keys, or they were being kept somewhere. Anyway.
Yeah, I didn't really understand what the problem was, but I know that Instant ID is something you install quickly on your server. And the nice thing is when you make a mistake in it and you miss a semicolon, it doesn't. Your site might be dead for a few moments, but your Instant ID app isn't dead because it's installed via WordPress, but it's not reliant on WordPress, which is really nice.
It sits outside of the root of WordPress, doesn't it? I think
and then when
create
you're done,
another.
You just uninstall it, and it removes the folder, and it's gone.
Yeah. Okay, so that's I don't know if that's in. Here we are. We digress. I don't know if that's even part of this all access deal, but there you go, Paul. Big user.
Years, yeah.
Okay, that's good to know. Thank you. Right, that's all we've got. Well, there's the usual. Oh, sorry. Yeah, iThemes. Does iThemes ever not have a sale on? I think iThemes always.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
You're right.
I get an email very frequently. I mean, fair enough to them, if it helps them push their sales. But it does seem that it's on sale quite a lot. 40% for this. It's I don't know. It's day ends in a Y, 40% off. Sorry,
yeah, you can't do that in the UK, can you? Actually, in the UK, you can't. You have to have proven that your products for a portion of the year has been on sale.
Yes.
For at least in retail, anyway.
Yeah, you do.
Not that retail's going to be much relevance.
Really? I wasn't aware of something like that.
Well, yeah. I remember seeing this in terms of like bottles of wine in Tesco, for example. They'll say it's like 40% off this bottle of wine, but they've got to prove, because people picked up that essentially what they did was they would mark it up massively for like one day of the year, and then they could claim that it was 40% from that ridiculous price that nobody would ever paid for it. And so I think some consumer organization said, look, enough is enough. This practice is silly and it's detrimental to consumers. And so I don't know if it applies to online products. And obviously iThemes are they were based in the US, so they might be completely, exempt from that anyway.
Funny comment.
Yeah. Anyway, there they are. iThemes 30% off. And then these three are all on AppSumo. If you click on the links, MailPoet, WP Foamify, Happy Forms, they're all there.
So to reply, the same price for 3 consecutive months prior to the sale.
Okay, there we go. Thank you. There we go. Look at that. The hive brain is working for us there. Same price. Thanks for that. Peter, just getting back to Eric Ham. Eric is the nicest guy, very sincere in trying to provide excellent solutions, but there have been a few changes in focus in his products. He's been on the podcast twice, and he is without a doubt the fastest talker I've ever spoken to. He is amazingly. It just is. His energy is amazing. It just keeps going. It's really, really fast. Amazing mind, I think. Really clever guy. Yeah. Okay. So maybe we now need to substitute Cobalt apps as well as Kinster every time we say Kinster, and you can reset your clock, Chris. Kinster, you can reset it again. We should substitute Cobalt apps in there as well. These are all the security bits and pieces for this week. So I'm just going to say closure of plugins. Oh, I can't remember what this plugin was, but basically go and click these. And then we were saying earlier about WebArcs being somebody to trust in this space. This is their article, which just shows they're on top of it. A whole bunch of things that they found. This not necessarily that they found, but they've curated a list so that people like you and me can stop worrying. So this article, I think, is good evidence for perhaps switching that switch in WebArcs and trusting them with the vulnerability.
They'll definitely be more on it than any of us. That's for sure.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. We did a podcast with David Decker, chap that I met in WordCamp Europe last year. Really nice guy. He's in the Facebook group. Just a lovely guy, and it's his journey through using WordPress. He comes across as such a humble guy. It's a lovely story. There's no sales. There's none of that. It's just a nice story. So go and listen to that. I want to bring attention to this one in particular. This is somebody that I know. This is Pete Everett. Actually, Pete Everett bizarrely comes to Scarborough several times a year, which is where I live. On a holiday, he comes several times a year. And last time he came, we met up. That was really nice. And nobody comes to Scarborough except me and Pete Everett, so that was really nice meeting up with him. But he's got a new product. I can't say I've used it because it is literally new, but it's white labeling of SEO. So if you find that you would like to offer SEO as a real strength in your business, but simply don't have the time to keep up with it, and I am absolutely that person. I just can't keep up with things like SEO. It's just not my area of expertise. So SEO Hive is a way of kind of offloading that. There's a lovely little sentence here, this one. A simple, transparent, proactive SEO service that will equip you to sell and deliver SEO contracts while we do all the service level work for you, which I just thought summed it up nicely. So go and check it out. I know you know him, Paul, don't you, as well?
I think this is going to be a winner. I do.
Yeah.
I think he's nailed it this time.
Yeah, there seems to be a whole bunch of sort of like different plans. There was something, what did they call it? Pathways. Here we go. There's 3 different pathways. I don't really know what that means, but there's different ways that you can approach it. Anyway, go and click on the link in the show notes and you can find out more about SEO Hive.
I don't sell SEO myself, but I don't know enough about it. So even if I was hiring someone, not using service like this, like hiring an individual or something, I'd be really struggling to communicate with my client properly, that I knew what I was doing. And I think what's really unique about this, I don't know if it is unique, but I'm pretty sure it's unique, is that you would have such set packages that you would be selling that have built-in flexibility for what your clients need, so that you'd really be able to report back on where they were in the whole process, which is what's so attractive about it.
Yeah, you can add this in as part of your care plan, hoping that maybe that's a fabulous way at the moment of keeping those things, which people are potentially thinking about.
You need to have a client who's prepared to spend. I think the prices will be on there somewhere. I'm not sure where, but
see if we can find it. No, there's no. Maybe down at the bottom.
Yeah, it's there. Yeah. So it's not something obviously you can just bolt onto your £50 a month care plan. It's something when someone is interested in investing. And it's funny because Vito, earlier you said that you had a client who had a hen and stag party, or bachelorette party if you're somewhere else in the world. I actually used to have a business that did that. Me and my wife set it up, and we used to do pay for SEO, and we used to pay more than $600 a month for it. And because if you're serious about it, you can't spend $250 a month on SEO.
Oh no.
So this is for people who have clients who are really realistic about things, not
This is something that happened like very regularly. Clients would come to you and ask you about all stuff digital. And to be honest, I always struggle to find within the edges. So we don't do any new projects anymore, so it's not really a problem for me anymore. But I always struggled finding people that you can trust when it comes to referring these types of services or PPC or whatever. Like all of these kind of additional stuff. I think he made a great move here with productizing a service that is usually very and trying to go through this process. I initiated calls to SEO agencies and asked them, but give me a package so that I can tell my clients you should expect around 600, 500 pounds. And it never was as easy. It was always, no, it depends on the customer and you got to do this. And then you got to get him in touch with the customer. And then they slap on a 2K pricing on him that he never expected. And the whole thing just was a waste of time. So this is like productized. You go in, you go out, you get what you paid for. It's all listed in there and it's good.
Yeah, it looks
Pete's
good.
got an amazing reputation as well. I mean, anyone who wants to know who's behind this can just go and check out his podcast. PeteEverett.com, I think it is, and you can get to know what the person is like behind the scenes, and you realize that this person is not one of those dodgy SEO salespeople.
No,
but
this is what he's been about for as long as I've known him. So yeah, great. I'm glad he's
SEO that it became kind of this a bit of scammy kind of thing because they use so much. Like cold outreach via email that you can't think of SEO seriously nowadays, right?
Exactly.
It's just me.
Okie dokie. Okay, here we go. Let's do the last couple. I'm not going to really mention them if that's all right. We'll just move on. But there's an article here to help If you, like me, you have your children at home and you're struggling to find things to do with them, there's a nice, well, I'll put it up so that you can see it, but you can read it in your own time. It's the guys over at Web Dev Studio. So it is from a WordPress company, and there's a whole bunch of different things, some of which I've tried. Khan Academy I've definitely tried in the past. That's not WordPress specific, or if you know what I mean. But it is to do with just about anything is on Khan Academy. Tinker is one where you can kind of like learn how to program in a very child-friendly manner. Obviously Udemy, and just have a look through.
Nice.
Yeah, it's just a nice, helpful article at this time. We'll ignore that one from Basecamp. It's just about ongoing meetings on Zoom and so on, just how to stress your team out. And Facebook Messenger, you can now download a desktop app and free unlimited group and video calls. So if you're needing something like that, I discovered, actually I didn't discover, Dan put me on this, but if you go to if you go to, did I mention this last week? Meet.jit.si. So it's the platform.
Someone mentioned this in the comments as well, right?
Oh, okay. Okay, it's called Jitsi, and it's meet.jit.si. And you go here, and that's it. You're done. All you do is share this URL. So you go to Jitsi, meet.jitsi.com/whatever is in this box, or you could type in whatever you like. So I could put in WP builds, click go, share that URL, and it's like a Zoom meeting with every feature you could possibly imagine, completely free, open source platform. You could, if you wished, download and compile it all and have it running on your own infrastructure if you wanted to have your own URL instead. And it looks really amazing. So that's another option. And if you're worried about your data traveling through Facebook servers, then this possibly, yeah.
I did notice on Twitter, the guy from Basecamp, I don't know his name, he calls himself like ABC or something. I don't know. Or
is it Jason Friedland or something?
No, it's the guy who had that interview with Matt Mullenweg where it was kind of
Heinrich Hendrickson or something like that.
Yeah, DHH. DHH.
No, okay, anyway, yeah.
It's DHH. I'm sure Andrew's going to confirm for us a minute because he knows all these kind of things.
Okay.
But yeah, he was really having a go at Zoom on Twitter because of this stuff around Zoom and spyware and stuff that seems to be going around the web at the moment. So he's definitely got a beef with Zoom, I think. So it's always interesting to see because this guy doesn't make stuff up. Obviously, it's just his opinion, and he's very opinionated about it, and he's got a big audience. So I don't know where that's going, but it wouldn't surprise me if that blog post saying how to stress your teammates out with Zoom is got something to do with his frustrations with the tool.
Yeah.
So one other thing I did see in the non-WordPress news was Apple potentially buying out Disney. Did you see that?
What?
Yeah. If you
the whole of Disney?
I don't know. I just saw that and just
no.
Yeah, Apple. I'm looking at various headlines at the moment. Like Apple wants to place
that strikes me as something even Apple couldn't afford.
You would think
6 days ago, was it, Paul?
1 day ago on CNN, CCN, whatever that is, and various
Apple
websites.
Apple bought something this week. They bought a weather forecasting app called Dark Sky, and I don't know if you've used it, but I have it. I have a subscription on my Android phone for Dark Sky. It's not a lot. It's like $3 a year or $10 a year or something like that. And it's just a lovely UI. The first thing that Apple did when they bought it was completely say, like, I think it's like a month, we're just going to kill it on Android. Not only are we not going to support it, but we're going to pull it.
Yeah.
Wow. And I just thought, that's just mean. That's really mean. It's such a good app. And what possible problem could there be? Anyway, I guess they just don't want anything to do with Android where possible.
Andrew says Zoom are dealing with the issues that have come out now. So
they have. Zoom, the big problem with the Zoom thing was that by default, people could share themselves. I can't remember what the technical terminology is, but they could basically get into your meeting. So Zoom, the latest update for the Zoom software, as far as I understand it, puts everybody in a waiting room. And my guess is that the host of the chat or web cast or whatever you want to call it has to manually put them in one at a time. Well, it just makes sense.
That's kind of annoying, actually, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, I think it makes sense in this environment, and I'm sure that maybe at some, but you don't have to have it like that. You can just go into the settings and it's a toggle. You just toggle a switch on and off.
So if you had a massive webinar.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, the problem is that a lot of us use a permanent Zoom link. So my Zoom link, usually the way I've got it set up, although I've changed this more recently, it was the same. And if you'd publish that anywhere on the web, then anybody could click on it and just drop themselves right into your Zoom meeting. And if you happen to be having that at the time, that's a bit of a nightmare. So what I've now done is I've put the waiting room on, but also I've turned off the option to use that URL every time. And every time now a Zoom link meeting is created, it just creates a new one, and there's a password attached to it, which gets prepended to the link as well. Yeah, look at that. Beth saying, I understand Zoom is taking an all hands on deck approach to fix the security issues. I certainly feel this would be corrected soon. Yeah, I think it wasn't a security issue, I don't think, so much as just like a massive inconvenience and a horror. I don't know if it could actually.
They got terrible press around it. Terrible press.
But it's
just such a shame.
They got in this kind of time that kind of accelerated the trolls, that kind of encouraged trolls to come on board. But it also enhanced the entire PR aspect of it because they were in the spotlight anyway.
Yeah. They're not. It's not the first time. I remember about 6 months ago, it became clear that they'd installed a web server on your computer, which was just doing things in the background, and they'd made no declaration about this, and it was just right. So anyway, they fixed that, and now this. But perfect storm, really. Everybody's on Zoom, and there's a crisis. But they fixed it allegedly. The software platform was built to have it. Just the defaults are a bit silly. So there you go. And there you go, Andrew Palmer talking about DHH. I'm sure it's Hein Henriksen or something like that, but I can't think what the first bit is.
Yeah.
I think Nathan Ingram got Zoom bombed. That's what they're calling it, isn't it? Zoom bombing, where somebody just shows up. And of course, you can imagine some of the horrors. I think a lot of the things that were being put into your meeting were the kind of things that you wouldn't want to see, shall we say. So a little bit horrible. Yeah. Anyway, there we go. I'm done. I'm done. Does anybody want to say something before we finish? We often finish with a what we're doing this week type of thing. You can go for it if you want. Shall we go in order?
Sorry.
No, it's actually not you now. It's Barbara. Barbara's moved over to.
I have nothing to add, I'm afraid.
You're just
fading.
You're going to be resting and catching up with your work, I imagine.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so what about you?
I'm gonna be here in this chair for forever and ever. One thing that I want to recommend is something I watched yesterday, which is a kind of an old documentary but pretty cool. Was the Super Size Me 2. Have you heard of this one?
I've heard of Super Size Me. Was that the one of guy eating Big Macs constantly?
That's the old one, right? That's like
the
90s or early 2000s kind of thing. And then he did like one that is super interesting around. And a lot of the stuff that we talked about here actually kind of referenced it back with Matt talking about this terminology, the expert terminology, and how some words have halo to them that in the food industry, they used the advantage to kind of make sure that things seem healthy when they're not. When you say fresh and 100% natural and all of these kind of stuff, just really interesting watch to just realize the transparency of what the food industry is all about, but it's done in a nice, quirky way with no like whole shots of animals and stuff like that you usually don't want to see.
What's that? Super Size Me 2?
Yeah, it's on Amazon Prime. I caught it on.
Cool. Yeah.
All right, I will endeavor. That's exactly the kind of thing that I enjoy watching. I like watching things that ought not to be get debunked or get exposed. I do enjoy those kind of shows. Paul?
Yeah, well, just I'm definitely going to watch that. I also watched a similar kind of thing called That Sugar Film or That Sugar Movie. I don't know if you've seen that one. And that's a similar kind of, it's quite funny as well, take on this guy who stops eating what he normally eats, which is a fairly healthy diet, and starts eating what a typical Australian diet. He's an Australian as well, and he's supposed to eat only healthy labeled foods, but it's actually how much sugar is in all these different foods and everything. And it's really funny how it puts it and what happens to him and how his liver turns to fat and everything. It's and yeah, it's similar to the whole Super Size Me type documentary. Is really, really interesting. I've been watching The Mandalorian on Disney Plus, so that's been really good. I've enjoyed that. I'm really looking forward to talking with Jan on Wednesday, doing my interview for the summit as well. And yeah, those kind of things, just carrying on with work and those sort of things. Playing with my new PlayStation headset. That's another thing. Life has slowed down a bit.
Without the PlayStation, just with the headsets.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this headset. I did a lot of YouTube research on this. Yeah, life has slowed down. I think that's the good thing at the moment. So enjoying a few of the things, and I realized that my life was a little bit hectic before COVID-19. So as long as I can survive it, hopefully come out better for it on the other side.
That's nice. That's a nice sentiment. There's a couple of things that I want to mention. I don't know if you've seen, if you're in North America or Australia, you may not have seen this story, but there's this crazy thing happening in the UK at the minute where people are burning down mobile phone masts. So basically the thing in the street that distributes the signal to your mobile phone. And it's the deployment of 5G. Now, for some reason, some people in the UK have been like brainwashed into thinking there's a connection between COVID-19 and the 5G technology. And so they've been burning down these 5G masts. So I'm going to make an effort this week to stop that.
Has this happened in the UK as well?
Yeah. There was one in Manchester, I think, one in Lancashire, and in various places. I think it was only 3 or 4. But the point is, these Facebook groups of disinformation.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure. I mean, there are some bits of disinformation. You know, you could go either way, but this one, honestly, really, you know, come on, just research for 3 seconds, and figure that this is electromagnetic waves. This is a virus. You know, really.
The thing is, they're not turned on yet anyway. So
it's just the very presence of the electronics on
Some people
the
have got a lot of time on their hands, haven't they?
But it's scary that there are people who, with a modicum of disinformation, can go out and actually cause harm, like civic harm.
Isn't that
burn things down?
Isn't that the definition of democracy?
Yeah, well, yes. Well, I mean, yes, I suppose you're not allowed to. But anyway, I just thought that was really strange. And then, sadly, another similar thing. I saw some people have started posting Facebook videos in their Facebook groups, like showing up to hospitals and drawing the conclusion that because the hospital on the outside isn't really busy, that it's all a fake. That the whole thing is just made up. And you just think, oh, please, can we all please just, every time we see something like this, don't sit on the fence, don't pander to, please write an acerbic comment, write something to put these people correct, because it's not good for that information, you know, to be out there, I don't think. Anyway, sorry, it's going to be my thing this week.
Just chasing these people down.
That's all I'm doing. That's it. That's all I'm going to do this week is chase these people down and tell them off. Remonstrate.
And try and home educate your kids. Are you giving them some time off because it's technically the Easter holiday?
Yes, but they're going to get a Facebook account and they're going to become internet trolls for people who.
Okay.
No, I'm joking.
Yeah, they can fight back against the bots.
Yeah, my three kids are going to have Easter holidays, albeit stuck inside and the garden, but we're going to do we're taking the school time away as if it was school, you know, and there's no school. What are you doing, Paul, for your two?
Maybe I won't tell them it's the Easter holiday, and they can carry on doing work on the computers. No, I'm only joking. No, they're on holiday. They're having sleepovers in my daughter's room. So they seem to be getting on really well with each other. One's 5, one's 12.
Oh,
So it's going okay. It's going okay.
Yeah.
On that front.
Yeah,
We're fortunate to have a very long garden. We've got one of those, very thin terrace type houses. Has these super long gardens that it's kind of only 4 meters wide, but really, really long.
Mm.
So there's a lot of space for them to run up and down the garden and do stuff.
Yeah, yeah. I was reading something listening to something yesterday about that. How difficult. We're lucky enough to have a garden. If I had children and didn't have a garden, I think it would be significantly more tricky at this time. So I so many lucky things. Good. What should you do? What's the gesture you should do when you feel lucky? It's not touch wood, is it? It's something.
You're blessed. I don't know, but I think that hearing other people around the world who I've been chatting to about what it's like in countries outside of the UK at the moment, I don't feel too like I've got too much to complain about right now.
It really does feel like things are going to some abnormal normal, if you know what I mean. I think the fear and the trepidation is still there, but it feels like we've worked out that the shops didn't go bare, the shelves in the end didn't empty. We've had to modify every single aspect of our lives. Well, not quite, but a lot. But I think we're beginning to get into the swing of it. I would hope for it to end as quickly as possible, but who knows? Yeah.
It does feel like there is a constant like Friday afternoon feel, right?
Yeah, that's an interesting point. Yeah, I mean, basically everything in my situation, everything's gone on hold. I'm managing to get very, very little work done in the normal way just because of having the kids. It's been a really interesting dilemma because suddenly my wife and I are both trying to work at the same time and the kids are here. So
on the flip side, I'm getting lots of work done, but it's because the pressure cooker is off. Normally the pressure cooker is kind of making me freeze almost, and you can't. It's disabling me to a certain extent.
Yeah.
But with the pace of the communications that I get coming in, just to be able to sit down without someone putting their urgent thing right in front of me on top of the other urgent thing someone has just said, that kind of I'm the most important person in the world, you need to deal with my thing right now, seems to have calmed down a little bit, and that's enabling me to get on with work a lot better.
Yeah, the urgency is definitely reduced. That's quite good. Okay, on that bombshell, we've gone way over time. I'm really sorry, everybody. I hope you didn't have an urgent meeting. The urgency is all gone. Thank you for joining us. Maybe we'll all be back next week. I don't know who's on, but thank you, Barbara. Thank you, Vito. Thanks, Paul. I'm going to put the little holding slide on and then stick around and I'll chat to you. Oh, I think we should do that quickly, just very quickly before we go. And I'll see you guys later. Have an enjoyable week and bye-bye for now.